Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Sierra with Sierra's Crocheted Crafts, and this is going to be my second video in my 3-video vlog series on pattern creating, pattern testing, and writing a blog post for a pattern. So this is actually my second video I'm doing, and this is going to be about my creative process in pattern making. So this is all going to be all about my process and how I do things to create my patterns. So let's get started. So the first thing is finding number one. I'll try to keep track this time. Number one, I need to find inspiration from somewhere to create something. Typically, I find inspiration from things that I'm watching, like I'll see someone wearing something really cute or have it styled really cute, and I'm like, ooh, I want to make something like that. Or if I'm, flipping on Pinterest or Instagram, Facebook even, just looking on my phone and I see people wearing something cute. Again, it's just from everything that I see. So it could be at the store, it could be on TV, it could be online, and I see something that I like, that I think I could recreate, or if I just like the shaping of something, like triangle scarves or just a regular scarf, or just if it's shaped in a fun way, or if I see a texture that I really like. Texture is really big thing to me. So I get my inspiration from the world around me, and it just happens. I'll just be walking in the store and I'll see a really cute sweater and I'm like, this is so cute, I could crochet something like this. And I'll take a quick picture, and then when I get home, I come to my second part. So the second step is my stitch books. This is just one of 3 that I own. And it's literally just a book full of stitches. So just all types of different stitches. This one has 200 stitch patterns in it. This is one I've been using a lot recently. As you can see, I have stuff marked off here. But stitch books are my second step. So once I find something that that I want to make, I go to my stitch book, see what type of textures, stitches, patterns that I find that would fit with it. And once I find some stitches that I like, I start going into number 3. Number 3 is swatching. So once I have some stitches in mind, because I'm like, ooh, I absolutely love this one, it does not mean that it'll translate well when I swatch. So I get the yarn that I want to use, because typically I have a yarn already in mind. So I grab the yarn that I think that I want to use, and I will swatch the number 1 stitch that I like the most, and I'll swatch with it. And it's a toss-up whether it will actually work or not, if it will turn out the way I'm envisioning. Sometimes I have to try different yarns, different hook sizes, just to see if I can get this stitch the way I want it to. And if I still can't, then I move on to my next stitch, and that process happens. Use this yarn, use this hook with this stitch, and then I was like, maybe this yarn with this hook, or this hook with this yarn, all to see if I can get the stitch to look how I would like. And then I do this, I go through 5 to 8 different stitches using different yarns and hook sizes until I finally find the stitch and yarn and hook that I've been looking for. And it all the trifecta just comes together, and the stitch looks how I want it to, the yarn looks gorgeous, and I'm just like, that's it. Something in my mind that's it. So another thing I like to do is when I'm swatching is take pictures of each swatch with the yarn and stuff, and I point to the stitch in the book, and then I have my swatch right here. That way I can take a picture and see, how they look, and compare, because sometimes they look really similar, and it's just those small differences that really make it. So I like to take pictures to make sure that I'm because I don't, this is probably bad, I don't like to leave the swatch on the yarn. I rip it out and reuse it to do another one. So yeah, maybe that's the problem. I don't know. But that's just what I do. And then the 4th thing that I do is I pull out my handy dandy notebook and paper and start sketching or writing things down. My sketches look like toddler sketches. Let me grab one. Okay, this is for my Ivy sweater that's already out. So this was my sketching for this. So yeah, I'm not a drawer, I'm not an artist in that way, but that is just kind of what I do. So I kind of draw how I want it to look, and I write things down like I wanted this to be half double crochet, and I knew that, and I wanted there to be like a panel of mesh somehow. I wanted there to be braided cables. I wanted it to be ribbed cuffs. Like, I knew what I wanted, so I sketched it out, but then I had to still find the stitches that worked for the rest, see what type of braid I wanted. So for it is sketching it out and writing details down, like, you know, you want the ribbed cuffs, then you want the collar to look this way. Just write it, scribble it down really quick. That way you know what you want your vision to be like. And then we move on to number 5, which is just going on. For garments, I always start with my size, which is a 2X, which is really big, so it takes quite a bit of yarn and time and patience. But I always like to use my size, that way I can try it on as I go, see how things are fitting, because I'm very impatient. I could not wait to like use it on someone else. I don't even really have a model because I model like all of my own stuff, so I make everything in my size. So I start with that, and then later I do the math part. So when I'm making things, I know the size measurements I need for myself, so I just start there. You know, I chain as many as I need for the width, and you know, I do all of that, and I just start going on the design. So that's my 5th part, is actually working on the design, which is the fun, hair pulling out, crying, exciting part. It's all the emotions in one. That is the 5th step. So just going in and just starting on the design after you have written down and sketched maybe what you want the design to look like, and you know, you already have your stitch or your stitches, your stitch pattern picked out. Now we're doing the actual designing, which is the longest part really, is you know, making sure that you have everything correctly. And then number 6 is trying it on, making sure it fits, which is the scary part, because if it doesn't fit, you have to take it all out. So like I said, I try it on while I'm going for different parts. Like if I'm doing a garment, like I'll try the body part on, I'll try make sure the sleeves fit and stuff like that. So I don't have to do a lot of frogging, but at the end of the day, when you're pattern designing, unless you're, I don't know, anyone who doesn't frog it at some point or parts of it. So there is frogging during this process, which is heartbreaking, but you know, it just makes the pattern better. You live and learn, right? So that's the 6th part, is trying it on. And then number 7 will be writing the pattern. So I like to write as I go, but then it looks like this. So as you can see, there's a lot of scribbled out parts. It's really just a mess. So I write as I go, and then I type it up. So that's part of my 7th step, is actually typing it up into the computer. And then the 8th part is editing. So much editing. So I read through it, find any like errors that I did while I was typing, and then depending on what it is, I might even make a second one with the written pattern that I have just typed up, just to kind of make sure that it flows. I typically don't do that with garments because, you know, they take a really long time to make. So I try to make sure that I'm writing down each step as I go, making sure that I have the count for at least my size. That way I can do the math later. And later is during this step when you're, you know, going through and editing, you have to do the math if you're doing multiple sizes, which is not fun, especially for me. Like, I don't like math. I'm not the best at it. So that's not so fun. But I've been doing garments so much, and I've done extra small to 3X for so long that I know pretty easily, you know, the sizing and the measurements and everything. So it's gotten easier with time, but at the beginning, sizing was literally the worst thing that ever happened to me during pattern writing. So, but now that I've done it so many times, it's a lot easier. The math has gotten easier, so that's a plus. So for step number 9 is just to breathe. So step number 9, breathe, pray, hope, send love, whatever, sprinkle fairy dust on it, and then you're gonna send it off to your testers. So that is the entire process for me, at least. And this process can take anywhere between Like I want to say like 3 or 4 days if it's like a super quick project, so something super simple, like I don't know, like a all half double crochet hat or something. Depending on, you know, what it is, the simplicity, what, you know, it just depends on the person themselves. So it could take anywhere between, let's say, 3 days to a month and a half. Like it can, like the range is crazy. So for example, I just made the cozy bandana scarf, and that took me, all of those steps, it took me about 3 days because I found, well, the yarn was given to me in a collaboration. I already had the yarn, of course, and I just did finding the stitch, and it was a 2-row stitch pattern repeat, which I found pretty quickly, and I did a swatch and I just loved it. And then the biggest thing was figuring out the shaping, because it's a triangle scarf. That honestly took the longest. I had to rip out and redo it about 6 times, but that only took, you know, about 3 hours of my life, because it was just like, I was just making sure that it was increasing correctly to actually make a triangle. So I didn't waste a lot of time doing that. So that was one of my quicker projects. And like I said, all of these steps from start to finish to, you know, getting it ready to be tested, it only took me about 3 days, which is really, really quick. But on the flip side of that, my, that Ivy sweater that I just showed you, it had braiding detail, it had, you know, it was a garment to start with, it had pockets, it had buttons, it had cables, it had sleeves, it had a back panel that had mesh down the middle. There was so many details that went into that pattern, and that pattern took me almost 5 months for all of these steps. So yeah, there's a ton that goes into it. So, you know, you can be like me, you can have super quick ones or super long ones. It just really depends on what you're designing, you know, how the designing process goes for you. But that is just my process step by step that I wanted to share with you guys, because I know people have asked me about it in the past, and you know, I've just told them just like little short messages, but I really just wanted to make like a vlogging series about this all, because I know I was super interested in people's process and how it came about and how they did things when I first started out. So I thought this would be a fun video series to do for you guys. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of my vlogs that I'm just starting to do, exciting, or some of my tutorials, because I do a lot of video tutorials on here, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to watch the other videos in this little 3 mini series, you can check the description box down below. The other 2 are in there, and feel free to give those a watch if you like. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!